God is not rushing you. Not now. Not in this moment. There is nothing you need to hurry toward, and nothing you need to catch up to. No moment you have missed, and no version of yourself you are late becoming. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are not being measured against anyone else. This moment is not asking more from you. It is simply asking you to stay here a little longer. There is nothing you need to prove in this season. No expectation you are failing to meet, and no invisible standard you are falling short of. If your energy feels lower and your pace feels softer, that does not mean something is wrong with you. It may simply mean that life is asking you to move with more care right now. To listen instead of push. To notice instead of rush. To live more gently for a while. Some seasons do not arrive with announcements. They do not come with clarity or direction or a clear sense of what comes next. They arrive quietly, almost unnoticed at first, like a shift you feel before you can explain it. Only later do you realize that something has changed, and life is asking you to move through it differently now. Not faster, not louder, but slower and with more attention. You are allowed to remain in this place for now. You do not need to rush toward clarity or resolution. You do not need to move ahead of your own heart. This moment is holding you exactly where you are. There is care here, even if it feels quiet. There is guidance here, even without clear direction. You can rest your attention in this presence, breathe slowly, and stay. Nothing else is required of you right now at all. God is close, and He is not rushing you. Waiting often feels uncomfortable because it removes the illusion of control we learn to depend on. When nothing moves, the mind looks for reasons, explanations, and timelines to cling to. It begins to measure progress by outcomes instead of presence. But this season is not asking you to solve or accelerate anything. It is asking you to stay attentive, open, and honest about what you feel. Waiting is not passive when it is grounded in trust rather than fear. Here, nothing needs to be forced or rushed today. When you compare your pace to others, waiting quickly feels like falling behind. But comparison ignores the different weights, wounds, and callings each life carries. What strengthens one person might overwhelm another at the same moment. God does not measure your life against anyone else's timeline. He meets you within the pace your soul can actually sustain. This is not delay. It is care shaped to fit your capacity. Nothing good is lost by moving slowly with honesty and grace. Here, faith grows without pressure or comparison today. There are moments when waiting feels heavy because nothing appears to change. Days pass, prayers feel unanswered, and movement seems distant or unclear. In these moments, the heart often wonders if effort has been wasted. But growth does not always announce itself through visible progress. Much of what strengthens you happens quietly beneath the surface. Roots deepen where no one is watching. Foundations settle before anything new is built. This season may feel still, yet it is not empty or inactive. It is preparing something steady and lasting. This waiting space is not a punishment or delay. It is a place where gentleness replaces striving. Here, you are not measured by speed or productivity. You are met with patience, understanding, and care. Nothing is being withheld from you in this season. What is meant for you is unfolding at a pace you can carry. You are not forgotten or overlooked. You are being accompanied even in the stillness. Rest here, without urgency or fear. God often works in ways that do not match our sense of urgency. We expect clarity to arrive quickly and change to appear suddenly. But much of God's work unfolds quietly over time. It moves beneath the surface, where progress cannot be measured easily. This kind of movement often feels like stillness from the outside. Yet something is always forming, shaping, and strengthening within you. What feels slow is not inactive. It is careful, intentional, and deeply attentive to what you need. When answers do not come quickly, absence can be easy to assume. Silence often feels like distance when we expect immediate response. But God's presence is not measured by speed or volume. He is often closest when nothing obvious is happening. Quiet seasons allow space for listening rather than reacting. In this stillness, guidance becomes subtle but steady. Care replaces urgency. Nothing about this moment suggests you have been left alone. Presence remains, even when words are few. Speed often creates movement without depth. It pushes decisions forward before they are ready to hold weight. God values formation more than quick outcomes. What lasts must be shaped slowly with care and patience. This shaping cannot be rushed without becoming fragile. So time is given, not withheld. Pressure is eased, not increased. What is forming in you now is meant to endure. Nothing solid is being delayed. It is being strengthened quietly. Stillness can feel frustrating when movement seems necessary. But sometimes stillness exists to prevent harm rather than progress. Rushing into answers can expose what is still tender. Moving too quickly can fracture trust and clarity. God slows what he intends to keep whole. This pause is not resistance. It is care. It shields what is forming before it is ready to stand. You are not being restrained. You are being protected with intention. If this season feels slow, let it be slow. Slowness is not a sign that something is wrong. It is often a sign that something meaningful is being tended. Nothing here is random or forgotten. Every quiet moment is held with intention. You are not falling behind while you wait. You are being shaped with care. Remain where you are without pressure. What is coming will arrive in its own time. There comes a moment when striving begins to soften on its own. Not because everything is resolved, but because constant effort becomes exhausting. The need to push, to fix, to force clarity slowly loosens. What remains is not resignation, but a quieter awareness of what you can hold. This softening is not giving up. It is the beginning of trust replacing effort. The heart starts resting instead of racing. Something inside you finally exhales. This is not weakness, it is wisdom forming gently. Stillness is often misunderstood as avoidance or escape. But true stillness does not turn away from reality. It simply refuses to add unnecessary force to what already exists. In stillness, you remain present without trying to control outcomes. This presence requires courage, not passivity. You are choosing to stay rather than flee, to feel rather than numb, to trust rather than rush. This is not avoidance, it is engagement without pressure. Stillness holds strength you may not have recognized before. Trust does not always look like confidence or certainty. Sometimes it looks like staying when leaving would be easier. Staying with unanswered questions. Staying with discomfort. Staying with yourself. This kind of staying requires quiet courage. It resists the urge to rush toward relief. You are not required to move ahead of your readiness. Trust honors timing instead of forcing outcomes. Staying allows strength to grow without pressure. Nothing here is wasted. This patience is shaping something resilient. If this season feels still, let it be still. Stillness does not mean nothing is happening. It often means something important is being protected. You do not need to push this moment forward. You do not need to rush yourself out of it. Remain here without fear. You are being held with care. This stillness is not empty. It is filled with quiet intention. Nothing here is asking more than you can give. There is no stopwatch measuring your life. No unseen clock counting how quickly you should heal, grow, or change. What feels slow to you is not failure in God's eyes. There is no disappointment attached to your pace. Your tiredness does not disqualify you from care. Needing rest does not make you weak or behind. It makes you human. This moment honors your limits instead of testing them. Nothing here is being measured or compared. You are allowed to move at the speed of honesty. Slowness often feels uncomfortable because it removes pressure we learn to live under. Without urgency, there is space to feel what has been ignored. This can feel exposed at first. But what you experience as delay may actually be mercy. Healing does not respond well to force. Neither does the soul. Gentleness creates safety where growth can happen naturally. This pace protects what is still tender. Nothing good is lost by moving slowly here. Mercy often arrives disguised as patience. God is not standing ahead of you, waiting for you to catch up. He is not watching from a distance or keeping score. He is beside you, matching your pace, walking with you through what feels uncertain. This closeness does not demand progress to remain present. You are not being pulled forward or pushed faster. You are being accompanied through this moment. Your pace is being honored, not corrected. Care stays close without pressure. Nothing here requires you to be more than you are. If this moment feels gentle, let it remain gentle. You do not need to harden yourself to move forward. Strength does not require urgency to be real. What is forming in you will not be rushed. It will arrive when you are able to carry it. Until then, you are safe to remain where you are. Nothing is pressing you forward. God is patient with this process. He is gentle with you, and He is not rushing you. As this moment settles, there is nothing you need to carry forward with urgency. Nothing here needs to be resolved before you leave this space. The quiet you feel is not unfinished work. It is a place you are allowed to return to. You do not need to fill it with answers or decisions. Let the quiet remain as it is. Carry it gently without pressure. This stillness is not fragile. It knows how to stay with you. Nothing here requires explanation or effort. You are allowed to leave this space slowly. God does not withdraw when the quiet fades. His nearness does not depend on stillness or silence. He remains present in movement as well. In uncertainty, in routine, in small, unnoticed moments. You do not need to hold on to him tightly. You are already being held. This presence does not fade when attention shifts. It stays without effort. You are accompanied even when awareness drifts. Nothing separates you from this closeness. It does not ask to be maintained or proven. If there is one thing to hold as you go, let it be this. You are not being rushed through your life. You are not being tested by delay. You are not falling behind because things feel slow. You are being accompanied with care. This gentleness is intentional. This pace is protective. This season is held, and so are you. God is close. He is patient, and he is not rushing you.